King. You've been betrayed by people you trusted, left carrying pain in silence, while the ones who hurt you acted as though nothing happened. King. You've watched people overlook your value, and you've spent nights wondering why you had to endure so much when you were only trying to do what was right. But you're still here, and that matters. King. My beloved child, listen carefully. King. You didn't arrive at this moment because your life has been meaningless, or because everything you endured was for nothing. There have been seasons when you felt pushed into the shadows, seasons when your voice seemed unheard and your efforts seemed invisible. King. Yet something inside you kept moving forward. King. You survived the nights that could have broken you. You carried burdens other people never knew existed. You kept going after disappointment, rejection, betrayal, and heartbreak. There were moments when you could have given up completely, but you didn't. King. And now you're standing at the edge of something new. King. Take a breath. King. Let yourself become still for a moment. King. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to chase some dramatic sign. Simply allow these words to settle into your heart and consider what they mean for the season you're entering. King. The old chapter has taught you enough. King. The fear that kept you hesitating does not have to make every decision anymore. The voices that told you that you were incapable do not get the final word over your future. The people who failed to recognize your worth do not determine what your life can become. King. You have been through storms, and those storms revealed something about you. King. You're stronger than you once believed. King. You have more endurance than you realized. King. And there is still fire in you. King. That fire may have been buried beneath exhaustion, disappointment, or years of waiting, but it was never completely extinguished. King. There is a reason you can still feel that longing for something greater. There is a reason part of you refuses to accept that your story ends with everything that has already happened. King. Your story is still unfolding. King. So don't rush away from this moment. Stay present with it. Let your heart settle before you decide what comes next. King. You may have spent a long time looking for validation from other people. You wanted someone to finally say, "I see what you've been carrying. I understand what you've survived. I recognize what you're capable of." King. But there comes a point when you have to stop waiting for another person to give you permission to believe in the life God has placed before you. King. You can acknowledge your own journey. King. You can honor how far you have come. King. And you can choose to rise without needing everyone who doubted you to apologize first. King. There were people who didn't see your value. There were voices that made you question yourself. There were circumstances that seemed determined to keep you small. King. They were wrong about what you could become. King. But don't build your future around proving them wrong. King. Build it around becoming faithful to the person you were created to be. King. That distinction matters. King. Your next season should not be fueled by revenge. It should be shaped by purpose. King. The people who ignored you may eventually notice your growth. Those who dismissed you may eventually wonder how your life changed. Those who once believed you would remain stuck may see you standing somewhere they never expected. King. Let them see it. King. But you don't need to live for their reaction. King. Your responsibility is to walk forward. King. You have carried enough of yesterday into today. King. Now breathe again. King. There is a quiet strength that comes when you stop fighting every battle in your mind. You don't have to answer every accusation. You don't have to explain every decision. You don't have to convince everyone that your heart was sincere. God knows. Jesus knows. And that is enough to begin again. You may feel something changing within you as you hear these words. Perhaps it is simply the relief of finally admitting that you are tired of living beneath the weight of old wounds. Perhaps you are realizing that you don't have to remain trapped in the identity that pain gave you. Whatever this moment means to you, receive it with wisdom and faith. Your future isn't built by one emotional moment. It is built through the choices you make after the emotion settles. So when you leave this video, take this message with you in a practical way. Choose courage where you normally choose fear. Choose patience where anger usually takes over. Choose faithfulness where discouragement tells you to quit. Choose obedience when your feelings are uncertain. Choose to keep walking. That is how transformation becomes part of your life rather than something you only felt for a few minutes. And if these words are speaking to something you have carried quietly for a long time, you can simply write Amen in the comment, not as a demand or a test, but as your own quiet declaration that you are ready to move forward with faith. There is power in putting a sincere decision into words. You have waited long enough to understand that change doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it begins with one honest decision made in a quiet room. I will keep going. I will trust God again. I will stop allowing fear to make every choice for me. I will walk into what is next. Those decisions can become the foundation for an entirely different chapter. And my beloved child, remember this. The fact that you have been wounded does not mean you are disqualified from becoming strong. The fact that you have experienced rejection does not mean you are rejected by God. The fact that certain doors closed does not mean every door is closed. Some endings were painful because you were deeply invested in them. Some delays exhausted you because you wanted answers immediately. Some losses changed you because you genuinely loved what you lost. You don't have to pretend those things didn't hurt. Healing doesn't require you to deny your pain. It requires you to stop letting the pain control the direction of your life. There is a difference. You can remember what happened without remaining imprisoned by it. You can acknowledge betrayal without becoming bitter. You can remember rejection without deciding that nobody will ever value you. You can grieve what was lost while still making room for what God may bring next. That is where your strength begins to mature. You have already learned what it feels like to survive. Now you are learning how to live with purpose. And perhaps that is why this moment feels different. You've spent enough time asking, why did this happen to me? Now you can begin asking, what will I do with what I have learned? That question changes everything. Your scars can become reminders of endurance rather than evidence of defeat. Your difficult seasons can teach you compassion. Your disappointments can teach you discernment. Your waiting can teach you patience. Your losses can teach you what truly matters. None of that means the pain was good. It means God can bring meaning from what was painful. There are things you still don't understand, and you don't have to pretend that you do. Faith doesn't require you to have every answer. Sometimes faith simply means taking the next faithful step while the larger picture remains hidden. So take that step. Then another. You don't need to see the entire road tonight. You need enough light for the next step. And as you move forward, remember that you are not walking alone. The source of your strength is greater than the opinions of people around you. The presence of God is not dependent on whether someone else recognizes you. You can be overlooked by people and still be seen by God. You can be misunderstood by people and still be known by Him. You can be rejected by people and still be deeply loved. That truth matters when you have spent years trying to earn acceptance. You don't have to earn your worth. You have to learn to live from it. There is also a moment when you must stop waiting for perfect conditions. You may have been telling yourself that you will begin when you feel stronger, when you have more money, when someone finally supports you, when everything makes sense, or when the fear disappears. But courage doesn't mean fear disappears first. Courage means you move forward while refusing to let fear make the decision. Your hands may shake. Your heart may still carry questions. You may not know exactly how everything will work out. Take the next faithful step anyway. The future doesn't require you to become fearless overnight. It requires you to stop surrendering your entire life to fear. And this is where your attention must become intentional. There will always be distractions. There will always be voices competing for your attention. There will always be reasons to delay. But your life cannot be changed by endlessly watching and waiting. At some point, you have to participate. Listen. Reflect. Pray. Then act. Let your faith become visible through your choices. You don't need to prove that you are chosen by making exaggerated claims about yourself. Your life will speak through the fruit it produces. Let your character speak. Let your kindness speak. Let your consistency speak. Let your obedience speak. Let your love speak. And when God opens a door, walk through it with humility. Do not become so consumed with the idea of becoming powerful that you forget the purpose of power. If you are blessed, become a blessing. If you receive comfort, become someone who comforts others. If you find healing, don't use your healed place to shame those who are still struggling. If you gain influence, use it responsibly. If your story becomes a source of hope, let it point beyond yourself. That is where this journey becomes bigger than personal success. Your breakthrough is not meant to make you arrogant. It should make you grateful. Your rise should not make you forget the people who helped you when you were struggling. Your growth should not make you cruel toward those who are still finding their way. You know what darkness feels like. That means you can recognize someone standing in it. And perhaps your next assignment will involve becoming light for somebody else. That is why your story matters. Someone may need to hear what you learned. Someone may need to see that a person can be wounded and still rebuild. Someone may need to know that disappointment doesn't have to become destiny. Someone may need a reason to pray again. Someone may need to hear about Jesus. And you may be part of that encouragement. This is why what you do with your life matters beyond yourself. The message you carry can reach someone who is quietly struggling. The kindness you offer can reach someone who feels invisible. The prayer you speak can encourage someone who has almost stopped believing. Never underestimate what a sincere act of faith can mean to another person. But as you step into that responsibility, stay grounded. Don't allow excitement to replace wisdom. Don't allow emotion to replace discernment. Don't allow promises about the future to make you careless with the present. God can work through ordinary obedience. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is forgive. Sometimes it is setting a healthy boundary. Sometimes it is apologizing. Sometimes it is beginning again. Sometimes it is resting. Sometimes it is saying no. Sometimes it is finally saying yes. You don't have to make every moment spectacular. You only have to be faithful with what is in front of you. And there is another truth I want you to carry with you. The people who wounded you do not have to participate in your healing. You may never receive the apology you wanted. You may never hear the explanation you hoped for. You may never see justice unfold in the way you imagined. But your freedom cannot depend on another person's behavior. Release the need to control their response. Give that burden to God. You can pray for justice without becoming consumed by revenge. You can desire restoration without becoming obsessed with what others are doing. You can move forward without having every question answered. That is freedom. And as you move into this new chapter, be careful with the language you speak over yourself. Don't constantly call yourself weak. Don't keep repeating that you will never recover. Don't make a permanent identity out of a temporary season. You have struggled, but struggle is not your name. You have failed at things, but failure is not your identity. You have been rejected, but rejection is not your destiny. You have been disappointed, but disappointment does not own your future. Speak with honesty, but also with hope. Say, I am learning. I am healing. I am growing. I am becoming more faithful. I am moving forward. Those declarations don't deny reality. They remind you that reality is still unfolding. And if you are listening while carrying something particularly heavy, bring it into prayer. You don't need impressive words. Speak honestly. Tell God what hurts. Tell Him what you fear. Tell Him where you feel exhausted. Tell Him what you want to understand. Then become quiet enough to listen. Prayer isn't a performance. It is relationship. You can come as you are. You can come tired. You can come confused. You can come grateful. You can come with tears. You can come with questions. Come. Jesus does not need you to pretend that everything is perfect before you approach him. And that is something worth remembering when shame tells you to hide. Don't hide. Return. Again and again. When you fall, return. When you become discouraged, return. When you lose your way, return. When you don't know what to do, return. Your relationship with God is not built on pretending that you never struggle. It is built on continually turning your heart toward him. So let this be the beginning of that turning. Maybe your circumstances haven't changed yet. Maybe the phone hasn't rung. Maybe the opportunity hasn't appeared. Maybe the money hasn't arrived. Maybe the relationship hasn't been restored. Maybe the answer to your prayer is still unclear. Don't confuse waiting with abandonment. A season of uncertainty does not automatically mean that God has forgotten you. Keep doing what is right. Keep preparing. Keep praying. Keep becoming. When the opportunity arrives, you want to be ready for it. And if you receive an unexpected blessing, remember where your strength came from. Give thanks. Remain humble. And use what you receive wisely. This is especially important when we talk about giving. Your generosity should come from a willing heart, not from fear, pressure, or the promise that giving will force God to produce a particular financial result. If you want to support this channel and the work behind it, you can do so through the link in the pinned comment. Whether that means buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, give only according to what you can honestly and responsibly offer. The purpose of generosity is to help people and serve a mission, not to manipulate God. Jesus taught about giving, and Scripture reminds us that generosity matters. Give, and it will be given to you, points us toward a life shaped by open hands and a generous heart. So when you give, let it be an act of gratitude. Let it come from love. Let it help someone who needs encouragement, hope, prayer, or practical support. And remember that your generosity is never measured only by its amount. A small gift given sincerely can still be meaningful. A kind word can be meaningful. A prayer can be meaningful. Sharing a message with someone who needs encouragement can be meaningful. Your life can become a channel through which goodness reaches another person. If this message has encouraged you, you can share this video with someone who may need a little light today. And if you want to remain connected with future messages, you can subscribe to the channel. Not because you are afraid of missing some magical moment, but because you want to keep making room for messages that encourage faith, reflection, and hope. You don't need to force the future. You don't need to chase every sign. You don't need to panic about whether you have missed your one opportunity. Walk with God one day at a time. The next chapter will unfold one step at a time. And when you look back later, you may realize that the transformation didn't happen in one dramatic instant. It happened through hundreds of small decisions. The day you chose to get back up. The day you forgave. The day you prayed again. The day you stopped chasing someone's approval. The day you started taking care of what God had already placed in your hands. The day you finally believed that your life could still carry purpose. Those moments matter. Your life is being built through them. So breathe. Let go of the pressure to have everything figured out. You don't have to know exactly how the story ends. You only need to remain faithful to the part of the story you are living now. And my beloved child, if you have been waiting for permission to begin again, take this as your reminder. Begin. If you have been waiting to forgive, begin. If you have been waiting to pray, begin. If you have been waiting to pursue the work God placed on your heart, begin. If you have been waiting to believe that your past doesn't have to dictate your future, begin. The door ahead may not look the way you expected. Walk toward it anyway. There is still more ahead of you. More growth. More learning. More opportunities to serve. More chances to love. More opportunities to become the person God is shaping you to be. And whatever comes next, don't forget what you have already survived. You are still standing. You are still capable of loving. You are still capable of believing. You are still capable of becoming. That is enough reason to keep moving. The fire inside you doesn't need to become noise. Let it become endurance. Let it become wisdom. Let it become compassion. Let it become faith. And let the next chapter be defined not by how loudly you announce your rise, but by how faithfully you live it. My beloved child, keep your heart steady. Keep your eyes on Jesus. Keep your hands open. Keep walking. There is more ahead. There is another part of this journey you need to understand. The change taking place in your life is not meant to stop with you. What you receive can become something you carry toward someone else who is still struggling to find their way. You have known what it means to sit in darkness and wonder whether anyone sees you. You have known what it means to carry questions without answers. That experience gives you a different kind of compassion. You know what a little encouragement can mean when someone is close to giving up. So don't keep everything you learn locked inside yourself. If this message has given you hope, share it with someone who may need encouragement. Not because sharing a video guarantees a particular outcome, but because sometimes a simple message arrives at exactly the moment someone needs to hear it. And if you want to remain connected to this channel, you can let it be a simple choice to keep making room for messages centered on faith, hope, prayer, and spiritual growth. But now, let's go deeper. You have spent years wondering why certain things took so long. Why did some opportunities disappear? Why did people who promised to stay eventually leave? Why did certain prayers seem to remain unanswered? There are questions you may never answer completely. But you can stop allowing unanswered questions to prevent you from living. Sometimes you don't receive an explanation before you receive the strength to move forward. Sometimes understanding comes later. Sometimes you only recognize the purpose of a season after you have already passed through it. That doesn't make the pain imaginary. It means your present understanding is not the whole story. King. You have carried scars that nobody else could see. Some came from betrayal, some came from disappointment, some came from words spoken about you when you weren't in the room. Some came from opportunities you thought would finally change everything, only to watch them disappear. King. And yet you are here. King. That matters. King. You survived the part of your story that once seemed impossible to survive. King. Now don't let the memory of those storms convince you that another storm must always be coming. King. You can learn from yesterday without expecting yesterday to repeat itself. King. There is a difference between discernment and fear. King. Discernment says, I have learned from what happened. King. Fear says, because it happened once, it must happen again. King. Don't confuse the two. King. Your past can teach you without becoming your prison. Now, if you are ready to stop allowing your past to define your future, take a moment and type Amen in the comments. King. Let those 4 letters be your simple declaration that you are choosing faith over fear, growth over regret, and forward movement over going back. You are not denying what happened. You are declaring that what happened will not have the final word over your life. King. There are people who may have benefited from your insecurity because you were easier to control when you doubted yourself. There may have been people who preferred you quiet because your confidence made them uncomfortable. King. But your growth does not require their approval. King. You don't need to become smaller so someone else can feel comfortable. King. At the same time, don't let your confidence become pride. King. Stay teachable. King. Stay humble. King. Let God shape the character behind the blessing. King. Because the greatest transformation is not simply having more money, more attention, more influence, or more opportunities. King. The deeper transformation is becoming someone who can carry those things without losing your heart. King. If abundance comes, let generosity come with it. King. If influence comes, let responsibility come with it. King. If recognition comes, let humility remain. King. If people begin listening to you, remember what it felt like when nobody listened to you. King. That memory can keep your heart soft. King. And perhaps this is one reason your difficult seasons mattered. King. They taught you what other people often cannot see. King. You can recognize hidden pain. King. You can recognize the person smiling while struggling. King. You can recognize exhaustion behind someone's silence. King. You can recognize someone who has stopped asking for help because they have been disappointed too many times. King. Don't overlook those people. King. Your own wounds can become a place from which compassion grows. King. And that is part of what it means to step into a new season. King. You aren't simply moving toward personal victory. King. You're becoming capable of carrying something useful for others. King. The Bible repeatedly points us toward this kind of life, receiving grace and extending grace, receiving comfort and becoming a source of comfort, receiving mercy and learning to show mercy. King. That is a different kind of greatness. King. It doesn't always look impressive from the outside. King. Sometimes it looks like forgiving someone who will never know how much you struggled to forgive them. King. Sometimes it looks like refusing to repeat the hurt that was done to you. King. Sometimes it looks like choosing peace when you have every opportunity to create another argument. King. Sometimes it looks like quietly helping someone without announcing what you did. King. That is strength too. King. So when your life begins to change, don't measure the change only by what other people can see. Look at what is happening inside you. Are you becoming more patient? Are you becoming more honest? Are you becoming more generous? Are you becoming more disciplined? Are you becoming more compassionate? Are you learning to trust God without demanding that He explain every detail first? Those changes matter. And my beloved child, there is something else you must release. You have to stop carrying the responsibility for everyone's opinion of you. You cannot control how people interpret your choices. You cannot control whether someone misunderstands your intentions. You cannot control whether someone chooses to believe a false story about you. You can only control how you respond. So protect your peace. Tell the truth when truth needs to be spoken. Apologize when you are wrong. Stand firm when a boundary is necessary. Then leave the rest in God's hands. You don't have to defend yourself against every accusation. There are battles that become smaller the moment you stop feeding them with your attention. And there are battles you must fight because they concern something important. Wisdom is knowing the difference. This is why spiritual maturity matters. You can be passionate without being reckless. You can be bold without being cruel. You can believe in your future without pretending that every desire you have is automatically God's promise. Faith and wisdom belong together. Let that guide you. Don't allow anyone to tell you that you must ignore reality in order to have faith. Faith does not require denial. You can look honestly at your circumstances and still believe that change is possible. You can acknowledge that something hurts and still pray. You can admit that you're afraid and still take the next step. You can say, I don't understand, and still say, God, I trust you. That is real faith. And when you pray, don't feel as though you need perfect language. Talk to God plainly. If you're angry, tell Him. If you're tired, tell Him. If you're grateful, tell Him. If you're confused, tell Him. If you need forgiveness, ask. If you need direction, ask. If you need strength, ask. You don't need to perform for God. You need to be honest before Him. And if your prayer today is simply, Lord, help me take the next step, that is still a prayer. Sometimes the next step is all the clarity you need. You have been asking for the entire map when God may be asking you to trust Him with the next mile. Walk it. Then ask again. Walk again. And over time, you may look back and realize that every small act of obedience was taking you somewhere. There is no need to rush the process. The world constantly tells you that you should already have everything figured out. You should already be successful. You should already be healed. You should already know your purpose. You should already have the relationship, the home, the money, the recognition, the answers. But life doesn't work according to a universal timetable. Your journey is your journey. Don't turn someone else's timeline into a weapon against yourself. You may be further along than you realize. You may simply be measuring progress by the wrong thing. Maybe progress is that you no longer react the way you once did. Maybe progress is that you finally walked away from something unhealthy. Maybe progress is that you prayed instead of giving up. Maybe progress is that you started believing you deserve peace. Maybe progress is that you are beginning to trust yourself again. Don't overlook those victories. They count. And there will be days when you feel strong and days when you don't. Don't panic when your emotions change. A difficult day does not erase months of growth. A moment of fear does not erase your courage. A setback does not erase everything you learned. You are allowed to have difficult days without declaring that everything is ruined. Rest. Regroup. Pray. Then continue. You don't have to restart your entire life every time something goes wrong. Sometimes you simply adjust your step and keep walking. This is especially important when you begin seeing opportunities again. Not every open door is your door. Not every opportunity deserves your yes. Not every person who returns to your life belongs in your future. This is why discernment must grow alongside your confidence. You have learned what it costs to ignore warning signs. Don't repeat that lessons simply because you are excited about a new beginning. Pray about what you accept. Think carefully. Look at character. Look at consistency. Look at the fruit. Words can sound beautiful. Actions reveal much more. So let your next chapter be built on what is real. You don't need another illusion. You need something you can stand on. And if God gives you a new opportunity, don't be afraid to start small. A door doesn't have to be enormous to matter. A small beginning can lead somewhere significant. A quiet decision can eventually reshape an entire life. A single act of courage can interrupt years of fear. Never despise a beginning simply because it doesn't look impressive. You may be standing at the beginning of something whose significance you cannot yet see. That's why patience matters. Let the roots grow before demanding fruit. Let the foundation become strong before worrying about how high the building will rise. You have already lived through seasons when everything looked uncertain. Now learn to build differently. Build slowly enough to build well. Build with integrity. Build with prayer. Build with wisdom. Build with people who genuinely want to see you healthy and whole. And don't be afraid to remove people who continually pull you back into chaos. Forgiveness does not always mean renewed access. You can forgive someone and still maintain distance. You can love someone and still say no. You can pray for someone and still recognize that they are not healthy for your life. Boundaries are not hatred. Sometimes boundaries are stewardship. Protect what God is rebuilding in you. And as you rebuild, don't forget to care for your body, your mind, your relationships, your responsibilities, and your spiritual life. A spiritual message cannot replace practical wisdom. Pray but also prepare. Believe but also work. Hope, but also plan. Ask God for provision, and also become responsible with what you already have. Ask for opportunities, and then develop the skills required to handle them. Ask for healthy relationships, and become someone capable of participating in one. Ask for peace, and learn to stop feeding unnecessary conflict. Your prayer and your actions can work together. That is where faith becomes visible. And when you begin experiencing progress, don't immediately assume that you have to understand every reason for it. Receive it with gratitude. Maybe the answer is simply that you kept going. Maybe someone helped you. Maybe an opportunity finally appeared. Maybe your preparation met the right circumstance. Give thanks. Then keep walking. You don't have to turn every blessing into a complicated sign. Sometimes a blessing is simply a blessing. And sometimes a difficult season is simply difficult. You don't need to attach supernatural explanations to every event in order to have a spiritual life. Stay grounded. Stay prayerful. Stay discerning. That will protect you from both despair and false certainty. My beloved child, there is still purpose ahead of you. You may not know exactly what it looks like. That's okay. You don't need to announce every plan before it has matured. Some things need privacy while they grow. Not everyone needs access to your dreams. Not everyone deserves to know what you are praying about. There is wisdom in keeping certain things between you and God until the right time. Let your results speak when the time comes. And while you wait, keep doing the work. If you're building something, build. If you're healing, heal. If you're studying, study. If you're working, work faithfully. If you're raising a family, love them well. If you're serving others, serve with sincerity. If you're waiting for direction, keep praying and remain attentive. Don't become so focused on the next miracle that you neglect today's responsibility. Your ordinary day may be preparing you for the extraordinary opportunity you have been asking for. And that preparation can feel boring. It can feel repetitive. It can feel invisible. But invisible work still matters. The roots of a tree grow underground long before anyone sees the fruit. Your preparation may be happening in places nobody applauds. Keep going. One day, someone may only see the result and assume it happened overnight. You will know better. You will remember the nights you stayed faithful. You will remember the days you wanted to quit. You will remember the prayers nobody heard. You will remember the choices that looked insignificant at the time. And you will understand that the change was built gradually. So don't become discouraged because your progress isn't loud. Quiet progress is still progress. And when you finally reach a place you once prayed for, don't forget the person you were when you prayed that prayer. Be gentle with that version of yourself. They were doing the best they could with what they knew. You have learned more since then. That's growth. You don't need to hate who you were in order to become who you are becoming. Honor the lessons. Release the shame. Move forward. There is also a warning worth hearing. Don't allow the language of being chosen to make you believe you are superior to everyone else. Being called to something does not make you better than another person. If God gives you a purpose, it should make you more willing to serve, not more eager to dominate. If you believe you are a chosen one, let that belief produce humility, responsibility, compassion, and obedience. Let it make you more useful. Let it make you more loving. Let it make you more faithful. The greatest evidence of spiritual growth is not how powerful you sound. It is how you live when nobody is watching. That is where character is tested. So guard your private life. Guard your words. Guard what you consume. Guard the people you allow to influence your thinking. Your mind is not a dumping ground for every voice that demands your attention. Choose carefully. And when you hear something that sounds spiritual, test it. Compare it with Scripture. Pray about it. Use wisdom. Don't accept every claim simply because someone says it confidently. God does not need manipulation to reach you. He does not need fear tactics. He does not need someone to convince you that missing a particular message will cause heaven to abandon you. You can seek God without panic. You can walk away from a screen and still remain in His presence. You can return to prayer tomorrow. You can continue your relationship with God even when no video is playing. That matters. Your faith belongs in your daily life, not only in moments of emotional intensity. So let this message become something practical. After you finish listening, turn off the screen for a moment. Take a breath. Pray. Ask yourself what one thing you need to do differently. Then do it. Maybe you need to forgive. Maybe you need to apologize. Maybe you need to make a difficult phone call. Maybe you need to stop spending money you don't have. Maybe you need to seek wise counsel. Maybe you need to return to a responsibility you've neglected. Maybe you simply need rest. Whatever it is, don't let inspiration disappear the moment the video ends. Carry the good part into your real life. That's where it becomes meaningful. And remember, your worth isn't determined by whether your life changes overnight. You are valuable while you're still growing. You are worthy while you're still learning. You are loved while you're still healing. You don't have to become a perfect version of yourself before you can receive grace. That is one of the most freeing truths you can carry. Grace meets you where you are and teaches you how to walk forward. So don't be ashamed of needing another beginning. You are allowed to begin again, as many times as necessary. What matters is that you don't stop turning toward what is good, truthful, and faithful. My beloved child, your next chapter should be marked by peace more than panic. Let your ambition have wisdom. Let your faith have discernment. Let your confidence have humility. Let your generosity have boundaries. Let your hope have patience. and let your relationship with Jesus remain at the center. When everything else changes, keep that foundation. People may come and go. Circumstances may rise and fall. Plans may change. Opportunities may appear and disappear. But your character, your faith, and the way you treat people will continue to shape the person you become. That is the work worth protecting. So take another breath. You don't have to force the door open. You don't have to chase the future until you're exhausted. You don't have to prove anything tonight. Simply take the next faithful step. And then take the next one when the time comes. Your life is still being written. The painful pages are not the only pages. The chapter you are living now does not have to resemble the chapter you survived before. There is room for restoration. There is room for wisdom. There is room for joy. There is room for service. There is room for love. There is room for a future you cannot fully see yet. And if you are willing to walk toward it with faith and wisdom, you may discover that the greatest transformation was never about becoming someone completely different. It was about finally becoming free to live as the person God has been shaping you to be. Keep your heart open. Keep your feet grounded. Keep your eyes on Jesus. And keep moving forward. There are moments when you have to stop looking backward long enough to notice what is already changing in front of you. The opportunities you once thought had passed you by may not be as finished as you believed. A conversation can reopen a possibility. A door that seemed permanently closed can appear again in a completely different form. A path you stopped considering can return to your attention at the right time. That doesn't mean every opportunity is guaranteed, and it doesn't mean you should rush into everything that appears. It means you should stay awake. Pay attention. Pray. Use wisdom. Your life can change through something that looks ordinary at first. A phone call. A meeting. A new responsibility. A conversation with the right person. A decision you were afraid to make. A skill you finally decide to develop. A habit you finally decide to leave behind. These things can become turning points. So don't overlook the small beginnings, because you're waiting for something spectacular. The change you have been praying for may begin quietly. You have spent so much time imagining the final breakthrough that you may have forgotten how many small steps are required to reach it. Take those steps. The pressure you felt inside your chest, the restlessness, the sense that you need to do something different with your life. Don't automatically treat every feeling as a supernatural signal. Sometimes restlessness is simply your heart telling you that something needs attention. Listen carefully. What needs to change? What have you been avoiding? What conversation have you postponed? What responsibility have you neglected? What dream have you buried because someone convinced you it was unrealistic? These questions can lead you towards something important. You don't need to be afraid of them. You can face them honestly. There is a new kind of strength available to you when you stop running from yourself. You don't have to keep performing for people who have already decided what they think of you. You don't have to keep chasing approval from those who only recognize your value when you are useful to them. And you don't have to keep explaining your heart to people who have no intention of understanding it. There comes a time when peace becomes more valuable than being understood by everyone. Choose peace. Choose truth. Choose the path that allows you to sleep at night with a clear conscience. That doesn't mean you will never face opposition. You will. There will still be people who misunderstand you. There will still be people who question your decisions. There may still be people who become uncomfortable when you grow. But their discomfort does not have to become your crisis. Let people have their opinions. You have a life to live. And if your life begins moving in a direction that surprises people who knew the older version of you, that's okay. People often become attached to the version of you they were comfortable with. When you change, they may not know how to relate to you anymore. That can hurt. But growth sometimes changes relationships. Don't automatically assume every relationship that changes is a tragedy. Some relationships are meant to mature. Some need boundaries. Some need distance. And some need to end. Pray for wisdom in knowing which is which. Don't make permanent decisions in temporary anger. But don't stay indefinitely in places that continually destroy your peace, simply because you're afraid of what other people will say. There is a difference between perseverance and refusing to accept reality. Wisdom recognizes that difference. Your life needs both courage and discernment. You need courage to move forward. You need discernment to know where to move. And you need patience to understand that not every answer arrives immediately. That combination will protect you. You have already experienced enough disappointment to know that excitement alone isn't enough. So when something new appears, don't only ask, "Does this look exciting?" Ask, "Is this healthy?" Ask, "Does this align with my values?" Ask, "What will this require from me?" Ask, "What kind of person will I become if I continue down this road?" Those questions can save you from repeating old mistakes. And my beloved child, don't allow the desire for your breakthrough to make you careless. You don't need to rush because you are afraid someone else will receive what you were meant to have. Your purpose isn't a competition. Another person's success doesn't cancel yours. Someone else's blessing doesn't reduce what is available to you. You can celebrate another person's progress while still believing that your own story matters. Comparison will exhaust you. It will make you question things you once felt grateful for. It will make you measure your private struggles against someone else's public image. Don't do that. You don't know what happens behind someone else's screen. You don't know what they had to endure. You don't know what their journey required. Stay with your own assignment. Your life has its own pace. Your responsibilities are different. Your opportunities are different. Your lessons are different. Your story is different, and that is okay. The goal isn't to become someone else. The goal is to become whole. That means your rise should include your character. Your success should include your peace. Your relationships should include honesty. Your faith should include wisdom. Your generosity should include responsibility. Your confidence should include humility. That is a life worth building. You may have been taught that success means finally reaching a place where nothing hurts. But that's not realistic. A successful life can still have difficult days. A faithful person can still have questions. A strong person can still become tired. A hopeful person can still cry. Don't shame yourself when you experience those things. You are human. Take care of yourself. Rest when you need rest. Seek help when you need help. Talk to people you trust. Pray. And then continue. There is no spiritual prize for pretending you never need support. Sometimes God answers a prayer through another person. Sometimes the help you need comes through wise counsel. Sometimes the door opens through someone willing to give you a chance. Sometimes restoration begins when you finally admit that you cannot carry everything alone. Allow yourself to receive. You have spent enough time being the strong one. You don't have to prove that you can handle everything without help. Receiving support does not make you weak. It makes you honest. And when you become strong again, remember what it felt like to need someone. Then become that person for somebody else. This is how your story begins to multiply. One person's healing can influence another person's healing. One person's courage can give someone else courage. One person's testimony can remind someone else that their story isn't finished. That is why your journey can have meaning beyond your own circumstances. But don't turn your testimony into a performance. You don't have to exaggerate what happened. You don't have to invent details to make your story more powerful. Tell the truth. The truth is enough. Your real story already contains pain, endurance, mistakes, lessons, forgiveness, and growth. You don't need to add drama. You need honesty. And perhaps that's one of the strongest things you can offer someone. Honesty. You can say, I struggled. You can say, I was afraid. You can say, I didn't know what to do. You can say, I prayed and kept going. You can say, I made mistakes, but I learned. You can say, I'm still growing. That kind of testimony can reach people because it sounds human. It doesn't pretend that life is perfect. It shows that faith can exist in the middle of imperfection. And that is where many people need hope. They don't need someone telling them that every problem will disappear immediately. They need someone reminding them that they can keep going even when the answer hasn't arrived yet. So if you are still waiting, keep preparing. If you're still healing, keep healing. If you're still learning, keep learning. If you're still praying, keep praying. Your waiting season doesn't have to be empty. Use it. Build your character in it. Build your skills in it. Build your relationship with God in it. Build healthy habits in it. Then, when circumstances change, you won't be starting from nothing. You'll already have something inside you capable of carrying what comes next. This is why preparation matters. People often want the crown without wanting the process that makes them capable of carrying it. But responsibility grows with opportunity. If you want more influence, prepare for more responsibility. If you want more resources, learn how to manage what you already have. If you want a healthier relationship, become healthier in how you communicate. If you want to serve people, learn how to listen. If you want to lead, learn how to serve. The person you become along the way may be more important than the thing you are asking God to give you. Because if the blessing arrives before you're ready, you may not know how to keep it. So don't despise preparation. It can feel slow. It can feel hidden. It can feel like nothing is happening. But roots grow before branches become visible. There are things happening beneath the surface of your life that you may not be able to measure yet. Keep working. Keep praying. Keep learning. And keep your expectations grounded. You don't need to believe that every second is a supernatural countdown toward a dramatic event. Your life is more valuable than that. God can meet you in ordinary time. God can meet you on a normal morning. God can meet you while you're working. God can meet you while you're caring for your family. God can meet you while you're washing dishes. God can meet you while you're sitting quietly after a difficult day. You don't have to wait for a dramatic moment to seek Him. The presence of God is not limited to emotional intensity. That's important to remember. Because when the emotional moment passes, your faith still has to remain. That's where the real work begins. When the music stops. When the screen goes dark. When nobody is encouraging you. When you wake up tomorrow and the same responsibilities are still there. That's when your choices matter. Will you still pray? Will you still act with integrity? Will you still forgive? Will you still work? Will you still believe that your life has purpose? That is where a message becomes a life. And that's where your transformation becomes real. You don't need to chase another emotional high. You need to build a steady life. A life with prayer. A life with responsibility. A life with compassion. A life with boundaries. A life with courage. A life where your words and actions gradually become aligned. That kind of change may not feel as dramatic, but it lasts. So don't underestimate consistency. Consistency can do what intensity cannot. A few minutes of prayer each day can shape you. A daily habit can reshape your health. A small amount of disciplined saving can change your financial future over time. A decision to speak kindly can change a relationship. A decision to stop feeding resentment can change your inner life. Small choices accumulate. That's how many major transformations happen. not through one explosion, but through repeated faithfulness. You may look back one day and realize that the life you wanted wasn't created in a single night. It was created one decision at a time. And when that happens, you will understand why you needed patience. You will understand why some things took longer. You will understand why certain doors didn't open when you wanted them to. You may even become grateful for some of the doors that stayed closed. Because not every closed door was a punishment. Some protected you. Some redirected you. Some kept you from entering a situation you weren't ready to handle. That doesn't mean every disappointment was secretly good. It means you don't have to assume that every disappointment ruined your future. God can still work with what remains. He can still rebuild. He can still restore. He can still teach. And He can still lead you forward. That is why you don't have to fear the unknown. The unknown is simply what you haven't seen yet. You don't need to fill it with worst-case scenarios. Take the next step. Then wait for the next piece of the road to become visible. Your mind may demand certainty. Your faith may ask you to trust. Learn to live in that tension without becoming paralyzed. You can make wise plans without pretending you control everything. You can prepare without predicting every outcome. You can hope without demanding a guarantee. That is maturity. And when fear rises again, don't treat it as proof that you should stop. Fear can be present while you move forward. Your heartbeat can race while you still make the right decision. Your hands can tremble while you still open the door. Courage is often quieter than people imagine. Sometimes courage is simply saying, I'm going to do what I know is right, even though I'm uncomfortable. Do that. Again and again. You may discover that the fear becomes smaller after you stop obeying it. And if you fall, get back up. Don't turn one mistake into a prophecy about your entire life. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to change your mind when new information becomes available. You are allowed to admit you were wrong. You are allowed to apologize. You are allowed to begin again. That is not weakness. That is growth. The person you are becoming doesn't need to be perfect. They need to be honest. They need to be willing. They need to keep learning. And they need to keep their heart open to God. My beloved child, the future ahead of you should not be built on the desire to make your enemies jealous. Let go of that. You don't need to become wealthy just so someone who rejected you regrets it. You don't need to become successful just so someone who mocked you feels embarrassed. You don't need to become visible just so someone who ignored you is forced to notice. Those motivations may feel satisfying for a moment, but they will eventually exhaust you. Build for something deeper. Build for freedom. Build for service. Build for stability. Build for your family. Build for the people you will be able to help. Build because you were given gifts that deserve to be developed. Build because your life can carry purpose. And when people who once doubted you eventually notice your growth, let your response be humility. You don't have to celebrate their regret. You can simply keep walking. Your victory doesn't require someone else's humiliation. That's a powerful freedom. You can rise without pushing someone else down. You can shine without wishing darkness on another person. You can become strong without becoming hard. You can become successful without becoming arrogant. You can become confident without becoming cruel. That's the kind of rise worth pursuing. And if you believe you are a chosen one, remember what that identity should produce in you. Not superiority. Responsibility. Not entitlement. Service. Not arrogance. Humility. Not obsession with attention. Faithfulness when nobody is watching. The world has enough people trying to prove that they are important. Be someone who makes other people feel seen. Be someone who listens. Be someone who keeps their word. Be someone who can be trusted. Those qualities may never trend online, but they matter deeply. And if you are a beloved son, carry that identity with gratitude rather than entitlement. If you are beloved, let that love make you more loving. If you know you are valued by God, don't use that knowledge as a reason to devalue someone else. Your identity should produce fruit. Let it. There will be moments when you feel the old pressure returning. The temptation to doubt. The temptation to compare. The temptation to go back. When that happens, remember what you've already learned. You don't have to return to an old version of yourself simply because it feels familiar. Familiar does not always mean healthy. Sometimes the old life feels comfortable because you've known it for years. But comfort and peace are not always the same thing. You can be uncomfortable while growing. You can be uncertain while moving in the right direction. You can miss someone and still know that distance is necessary. You can love a place and still know it is time to leave. You can appreciate your past without living there. Keep moving. And when you need guidance, pray. Ask God to give you wisdom rather than simply asking Him to give you what you want. That prayer can change your perspective. Instead of saying, God, make this happen exactly the way I imagined, you can say, God, lead me toward what is truly good for me, even if it looks different from what I expected. That is surrender. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means trusting God enough to release your demand for control. There is peace in that. You don't have to control every outcome. You don't have to force every relationship. You don't have to manufacture every opportunity. You can do your part and trust God with what is beyond your control. That is enough for today. So when you feel the pressure building again, return to the simple things. Breathe. Pray. Think. Act wisely. Rest. Continue. And remember that you don't have to prove that you are chosen by staying glued to a screen. Your faith isn't measured by how long you watch a video. It is measured by how you live. Take what is useful from this message and carry it into your life. If something encouraged you, remember it. If something challenged you, think about it. If something doesn't fit your understanding, test it carefully against Scripture and prayer. You don't have to accept every statement simply because it sounds powerful. Truth does not need manipulation. God does not need fear to keep you close. You can seek Him freely. You can step away and still pray. You can return tomorrow and still be welcomed. That freedom matters. And now, as you move forward, remember the people who are still hurting. Someone around you may be carrying the same kind of pain you once carried. They may not know how to explain it. They may smile in public and cry in private. They may be wondering whether anyone sees them. You can become a reminder that they are not alone. Sometimes your greatest ministry will be a simple conversation. Sometimes it will be listening. Sometimes it will be prayer. Sometimes it will be sharing your own honest story. And sometimes it will be simply staying beside someone while they find their strength again. That is meaningful work. Don't underestimate it. The world doesn't only need impressive voices. It needs faithful people. It needs people who keep showing up. People who tell the truth. People who forgive. People who serve. People who give. People who pray. People who refuse to let bitterness become their identity. Be one of those people. And if you have resources to share, give responsibly and willingly. You can support this channel through the link in the pinned comment. Scripture reminds us that giving is first a matter of the heart. 2 Corinthians 9:7 teaches us not to give reluctantly or under pressure, but with a willing and cheerful spirit. So if you feel led to support this work, let your decision come from gratitude rather than obligation. You can use the support link in the description or pinned comment to buy a coffee, make a donation, or become a member of the community. Give only what you can give freely and responsibly. The value is not found in the size of the gift, but in the sincerity behind it. When generosity comes from love, it becomes another way of saying, Lord, thank you for what you have placed in my hands and help me use it to encourage someone else. Whether you choose to buy a coffee, make a donation, or become a member of the community, let your giving be thoughtful and within your means. Your support can help this work continue reaching people with messages of faith and encouragement. And if you give, don't give because you are afraid that God will punish you if you don't. Give because generosity is something you genuinely want to practice. Give because you want to help. Give because you are grateful. Give because you want someone else to receive encouragement. That is a healthier foundation for generosity. Jesus taught us to care about the heart behind our actions. So let your heart be willing. Let your generosity be sincere. Let your service be genuine. And let your faith become visible through love. The work of helping people is bigger than one person. It takes voices. It takes listeners. It takes people willing to encourage others. It takes people willing to give time, attention, resources, and prayer. And every person who participates responsibly can become part of something that reaches beyond themselves. That is why your choices matter. Your words matter. Your attention matters. Your generosity matters. Your example matters. And your story matters. You may not realize who is watching how you handle adversity. Someone may learn resilience by watching you recover. Someone may learn forgiveness by watching you refuse revenge. Someone may learn faith by watching you continue to pray. Someone may learn courage by watching you begin again. So live in a way that gives people something worth learning from. Not perfection. Faithfulness. That's enough. My beloved child, you don't need to see the whole future tonight. You only need to stop allowing yesterday to dictate tomorrow. The door ahead may open slowly. Let it. The answer may come gradually. Let it. The healing may take time. Let it. The rebuilding may require patience. Let it. Your task is not to force the process. Your task is to remain faithful within it. There will be another morning. There will be another opportunity to choose differently. There will be another chance to pray. Another chance to forgive. Another chance to work. Another chance to love. Another chance to begin. And when that morning comes, get up. Take a breath. Thank God for another day. Then take the next step. That is how you move forward. Not through fear. Not through pressure. Not through pretending. Through faith, wisdom, courage, and consistency. Keep your heart steady. Keep your mind clear. Keep your hands open. And keep your eyes on Jesus. The chapter ahead is still being written. Don't rush it. Live it. There is a point where you stop asking whether change is possible and begin preparing yourself to live differently. That is where you are now. The old patterns may still try to pull you backward. Old fears may still speak. Old memories may still appear when you least expect them. But you don't have to obey every thought simply because it is familiar. You have learned enough to recognize the difference between a warning and an old wound speaking. You have learned enough to pause before reacting. You have learned enough to ask God for wisdom instead of immediately following your emotions. That growth matters. The fire within you does not need to consume everything around you. It needs direction. It needs purpose. It needs a place where it can become something useful. Think about what happens when a storm passes through a landscape. The wind can be destructive, but afterward the air feels different. The atmosphere changes. The sky opens. The ground receives what it needs. Your difficult seasons can be like that, when you allow them to teach you instead of allowing them to define you. You don't have to remain in survival mode forever. There is a difference between surviving a season and building a life after it. You have survived. Now build. Build carefully. Build honestly. Build with God. And don't be surprised if the first signs of rebuilding look small. A new habit. A better decision. A healthier relationship. A clearer boundary. A little more confidence. A little less fear. A little more peace when you remember what happened. Those changes may not look dramatic, but they are evidence that something inside you is becoming stronger. You don't need to manufacture a miracle to prove that your life is changing. Sometimes the miracle is that you finally respond differently to something that once controlled you. Someone says something cruel, and you don't spend 3 days replaying it. Someone walks away, and you don't immediately conclude that you're worthless. An opportunity fails, and instead of deciding your entire future is finished, you ask what you can learn. That's transformation. It may be quiet, but it is real. And my beloved child, don't let anyone convince you that your worth depends on how quickly your circumstances improve. Your value existed before the breakthrough. Your dignity existed before the recognition. Your purpose existed before the applause. So don't worship the outcome. Worship God. Let the outcome remain in His hands. If a door opens, walk through it wisely. If a door closes, grieve if you need to, then ask what the next step is. If something is delayed, use the waiting season well. If something is restored, receive it with gratitude. And if something is taken away, remember that loss does not automatically mean your entire future has been taken with it. You are still here. There is still work to do. There are still people to love. There are still lessons to learn. There are still prayers to pray. There are still possibilities you cannot see. That's why you must keep your heart open. The future can surprise you. You may discover that what you thought was the end was actually a redirection. You may discover that what looked like rejection protected you from something you couldn't see. You may discover that the season that felt empty was actually preparing you to carry something meaningful. You may not know today. That's okay. You don't have to understand every chapter while you're living it. Some things only make sense when you look backward. So keep moving forward without demanding that every mystery be solved first. And when you feel that familiar pressure telling you that everything must happen immediately, slow down. You don't need to live as though your future is disappearing every second. Your life is not a race against an imaginary clock. You can make decisions carefully. You can pray before responding. You can seek wise counsel. You can wait when waiting is wise. And you can act when action is required. That balance will keep you grounded. There is also something important about the word chosen. Being chosen does not mean being exempt from hardship. It does not mean you will never experience rejection. It does not mean every desire will become reality. It does not mean every person who opposes you is your enemy. Being chosen, if you understand it through faith, should make you more willing to serve. It should deepen your responsibility. It should make you more aware of the people around you. If you believe you have been called to carry light, then carry it without arrogance. If you believe you have been given influence, use it carefully. If you believe God has given you something valuable, don't turn it into an excuse to look down on people who are still struggling. You know what struggle feels like. Remember that. Your past can keep you compassionate if you let it. And that compassion may become part of your calling. Maybe your role isn't only to rise. Maybe it is also to help someone else rise. Maybe the reason you understand rejection is so you can recognize someone who feels rejected. Maybe the reason you know loneliness is so you can notice someone standing alone. Maybe the reason you have experienced financial difficulty is so you can treat people with greater kindness when they are struggling. Maybe the reason you had to rebuild is so you can help someone understand that rebuilding is possible. Don't waste those lessons. Use them. Your pain doesn't have to become your identity, but it can become part of the wisdom you carry. And when you speak to people, speak from what you actually know. Don't exaggerate. Don't pretend you have all the answers. Don't promise people that one action will force God to change their circumstances. Point them toward faith. Point them toward wisdom. Point them toward Jesus. Point them toward prayer. Point them toward responsible action. That kind of message can actually help someone. You don't need to frighten people into staying. You don't need to tell them that leaving a video will cause them to lose their blessing. You don't need to manipulate their emotions. Truth can stand on its own. If someone stays because they genuinely want to listen, let them stay. If someone needs to leave and return later, let them. Their relationship with God is bigger than a screen. That understanding will keep your message honest. And if this video reaches someone who is hurting, let it become a place where they can breathe. Not another source of pressure. Not another demand. A place where they can remember that their life still has value. That is worth protecting. You can support this channel if you want to help continue that work. The support link is available through the pinned comment. Whether you choose to buy a coffee, make a donation, or become a member of the community, do it freely and responsibly. Your support can help this work continue. But remember something even more important. Your generosity is not a transaction with heaven. You don't give money to purchase a miracle. You give because you want to participate in helping others. You give because generosity reflects the kind of heart you want to cultivate. You give because someone may benefit from the work. And if you don't have money to give, your value is not reduced. You can pray. You can encourage someone. You can share a message. You can volunteer your time. You can listen. You can be kind. There are many ways to serve. The Bible speaks about generosity because generosity changes the heart of the person who practices it. Give, and it will be given to you. Let that inspire an open heart, not fear. Let it remind you that life becomes richer when you stop living only for yourself. King. Jesus called people toward love, mercy, compassion, and service. King. Those are the things worth carrying into your next chapter. King. And when you receive something good, ask yourself how you can use part of that goodness to help someone else. King. If you receive encouragement, encourage someone. King. If you receive wisdom, share it responsibly. King. If you receive an opportunity, create room for another person when you can. King. If you receive provision, practice gratitude. King. That is how blessings can become something larger than personal comfort. King. Your life can become a stream rather than a storage room. King. What enters you can move through you. King. That is a beautiful way to live. King. Now there is another battle you may have to face. King. The temptation to believe that your breakthrough must look exactly like the picture in your head. King. Maybe you imagined a particular amount of money. King. A particular relationship. King. A particular position. King. A particular home. King. A particular recognition. King. And because reality doesn't match the picture yet, you assume nothing is happening. King. Be careful. King. God may be doing something different. King. Your idea of restoration may be smaller than what you actually need. King. Or it may be more complicated than simply receiving back what was lost. King. Sometimes restoration means receiving something new. King. Sometimes it means becoming strong enough to no longer need what once controlled you. King. Sometimes the greatest answer is not getting the old thing back. King. It is becoming free from the need for it. King. Think about that. King. If you spent years chasing someone's approval, perhaps your breakthrough is becoming secure without it. King. If you spent years trying to prove yourself, perhaps your breakthrough is realizing you don't have to. King. If you spent years fearing abandonment, perhaps your breakthrough is learning to stand securely even when someone chooses to leave. King. If you spent years believing you were powerless, perhaps your breakthrough is discovering that you can make wise decisions again. King. Those are powerful changes. King. They may not produce dramatic headlines. King. But they can transform a life. King. And when that transformation happens, people around you may notice. King. They may wonder why you seem different. King. They may notice that you don't react the way you used to. King. They may notice that you are calmer. King. That you listen more. King. That you don't need to win every argument. King. That you no longer chase people who don't want to stay. King. That you don't collapse when someone disagrees with you. King. That is a different kind of strength. King. It isn't loud. King. It doesn't need an audience. King. It simply exists. King. And perhaps that is the crown you were really looking for. King. Not a literal crown hovering above your head, but the maturity to carry your life with dignity. King. The ability to stand without needing constant applause. King. The ability to serve without needing recognition. King. The ability to give without demanding repayment. King. The ability to forgive without returning to unhealthy situations. King. The ability to love without abandoning yourself. King. That is worth pursuing. King. You have spent enough time thinking about what other people will see. King. Think about what God sees when no one else is watching. King. What happens in your private moments? King. What do you do when nobody can reward you? King. What do you say when there is no audience? King. Who are you when the screen is off? King. That is where character is formed. King. And if you want your public life to change, begin by allowing your private life to become healthier. King. Pray when nobody hears. King. Make the right choice when nobody applauds. King. Keep your promise when breaking it would be easier. King. Tell the truth when lying would protect your image. King. Forgive when resentment feels easier. King. Walk away from temptation when nobody would know. King. These choices may never become visible to the world. King. But they matter. King. They shape you. King. And the person you become is ultimately more important than the image you present. King. My beloved child, there is still time to become that person. King. You don't have to have done everything right until now. King. You don't have to pretend that you never made mistakes. King. Bring the mistakes into the light. King. Learn. King. Repair what you can. King. Ask forgiveness where necessary. King. Make better decisions. King. Then move forward. King. Don't spend the rest of your life punishing yourself for a lesson you have already learned. King. There is a difference between repentance and self-hatred. King. Repentance turns you toward God. King. Self-hatred keeps you trapped inside yourself. King. Choose the path that leads toward restoration. King. If you hurt someone, make amends where appropriate. King. If someone hurt you, seek healing. King. If you made a financial mistake, learn better stewardship. King. If you damaged a relationship, take responsibility for your part. King. If you neglected your spiritual life, return to prayer. King. Small acts of responsibility can become the beginning of a completely different life. King. And when you begin again, don't demand immediate perfection. King. You are learning. King. Give yourself room to grow. King. The first attempt may not be perfect. King. The first prayer may feel awkward. King. The first boundary may feel uncomfortable. King. The first no may make you feel guilty. King. The first step toward your dream may feel too small. King. Take it anyway. King. You don't become confident before taking every step. King. Confidence often develops because you took the step, and if you are ready to take that next step, write "I am ready" in the comments below. Don't write it because everything is already perfect. King. Write it because you are willing to move forward even while you are still learning, healing, and trusting God. Let your words reflect the decision you are making in your heart right now. I am ready to stop waiting for perfect conditions and start walking in faith. King. That is why action matters. King. Not reckless action. King. Faithful action. King. Wise action. King. Responsible action. King. The kind that matches what you say you believe. King. If you believe God has given you gifts, develop them. King. If you believe you have a purpose, serve. King. If you believe you are called to encourage people, encourage. King. If you believe your life can help someone, make yourself available. King. Don't spend all your energy waiting for a sign while ignoring the opportunities already in your hands. King. Sometimes the opportunity is right in front of you. King. You simply need to stop looking for something more dramatic. King. A person who needs encouragement. King. A responsibility you need to handle. King. A skill you need to learn. King. A habit you need to change. King. A conversation you need to have. A prayer you need to pray. Start there. The next chapter doesn't need to begin with thunder. It can begin with obedience. And perhaps that's why you have been feeling restless. Not because some mysterious countdown is forcing you to remain on a screen, but because part of you knows that you are capable of living differently. Listen to that healthy desire. Then turn it into action. You don't need to fear missing your one chance. Life is not that fragile. You can return to God tomorrow. You can pray again. You can make another decision. You can correct course. You can start over. Grace gives you room to do that. And when you fail, don't call yourself finished. Failure is information. It can teach you what needs to change. A closed door can teach you where preparation was incomplete. A broken relationship can teach you about communication. A financial mistake can teach you about discipline. A painful experience can teach you about boundaries. A season of loneliness can teach you about who you truly need around you. Learn. Then continue. The goal isn't to avoid every painful experience. The goal is to become wiser through them. That is how your future becomes stronger. And one day, someone may ask how you became the person you are. You may remember this season. You may remember how uncertain you felt. You may remember the nights when you thought you would never recover. And you will be able to say, I kept going. Not because everything changed overnight. Not because every prayer was answered immediately. Not because I never felt afraid. I kept going because I learned to trust God one step at a time. That is a testimony worth having. And that testimony can help someone else. So don't rush past your process. There is something valuable being formed in you. Patience. Discernment. Compassion. Courage. Humility. Faith. These qualities may not be visible immediately, but they can carry you much farther than temporary excitement ever could. You may still have moments when the old fear returns. When it does, don't panic. Recognize it. Breathe. Pray. Then choose your response. You don't have to fight every thought. You don't have to argue with every emotion. You can simply say, I hear the fear, but I will not let it make my decision. Then move. That is courage. And if you need help, ask for it. If you need wise counsel, seek it. If you need professional support for something beyond what prayer and encouragement can address, pursue it. Faith and practical help do not have to compete. God can work through people, wisdom, medicine, counseling, education, community, and ordinary acts of care. Don't limit the ways help can arrive. Keep your heart open. Your next chapter may contain people you have never met. It may contain opportunities you haven't imagined. It may contain responsibilities you didn't expect. And you may become someone you didn't recognize a few years ago. That's okay. Growth changes people. The goal is not to remain exactly who you were. The goal is to become more whole, more grounded, more loving, more faithful. And if you are a beloved son, let your life reflect the dignity of that identity. If you are a chosen one, let your choices reflect responsibility. If you are beloved, let that love overflow toward others. And if you are still searching for who you are, don't panic. Identity can become clearer as you live faithfully. You don't have to solve your entire existence in one night. Walk. Learn. Pray. Serve. Grow. The path will become clearer as you move. And remember, the people around you are also carrying stories you cannot see. So be careful with judgment. You don't know what someone survived today. You don't know what they are praying about. You don't know what they lost. You don't know what they are trying to rebuild. A little kindness can go a long way. A simple "Are you okay?" can matter. A patient response can change the direction of a conversation. A willingness to listen can give someone enough strength to continue. You have been the person who needed that kindness. Now you can offer it. That's part of the rise, too. Not simply being seen. Seeing others. Not simply being helped. Helping others. Not simply receiving hope. Carrying hope. That is how your story becomes bigger than your circumstances. So when you think about your future, don't only ask what you will receive. Ask what you will contribute. What will your life give to other people? What kind of atmosphere will you create in your home? What kind of person will you become when someone is struggling? What will people remember about how you treated them? Those questions may matter more than how impressive your accomplishments appear. Because eventually the applause fades. The possessions change. The titles change. The circumstances change. But the way you treated people remains part of the story you leave behind. Build that story well. And when you experience success, stay grateful. When you experience difficulty, stay teachable. When you experience uncertainty, stay prayerful. When you experience blessings, stay generous. When you experience correction, stay humble. When you experience opposition, stay wise. That balance will keep you steady. My beloved child, don't let the language of destiny make you forget ordinary responsibility. Wash the dishes. Pay what you owe. Keep your promises. Care for your family. Do your work. Rest when necessary. Take care of your health. Pray. Read scripture. Encourage people. Give responsibly. These ordinary things are not beneath you. They are part of your life. A spiritual life that cannot survive ordinary responsibilities isn't mature yet. Let your faith enter every part of your day. Let it influence how you speak, how you spend, how you work, how you love, how you forgive, how you respond when nobody is watching, That's where your transformation becomes visible. King. And as you continue forward, don't become addicted to the feeling of being on the edge of a breakthrough. King. Learn to appreciate the life you are already living. King. The meal in front of you. King. The person beside you. King. The breath in your lungs. King. The opportunity to begin again. King. The fact that you woke up today. King. Gratitude can bring you back to the present. King. Your future matters. King. But so does today. King. Don't sacrifice today's peace while constantly chasing tomorrow. King. There is grace for this moment too. King. And if today is difficult, you don't have to pretend otherwise. King. You can simply say, Lord, help me through today. King. That's enough. King. Tomorrow can have tomorrow's prayer. King. Today needs today's grace. King. So breathe. King. Stay grounded. King. Keep walking. King. The future will come in its own time. King. And when it does, you will meet it as a person who has been prepared through every faithful step you took along the way. King. Your story is still moving. King. Your purpose is still worth pursuing. King. And the best thing you can do right now is live the next part faithfully. King. Keep your eyes on Jesus. King. Keep your heart open. King. Keep your feet moving. King. There is still more ahead. King. The work continues after the emotional moment passes. King. The fire you feel inside is not meant to remain only a feeling. It is meant to become direction. It is meant to influence the way you think, the way you speak, the way you respond, and the way you move through the days ahead. King. You have already crossed an important line simply by recognizing that you don't want to remain the same. King. Now comes the part that requires consistency. King. The old version of you may try to return. King. Old fears may tell you to retreat. King. Old habits may tell you that nothing has really changed. King. Old voices may remind you of every failure and every disappointment. King. But you don't have to answer those voices the way you once did. King. You can pause. King. You can breathe. King. You can remember what you have learned. King. Then you can choose differently. King. That is how the new chapter becomes real. King. Not because you never struggle again, but because struggle no longer controls every decision. King. You have been through enough to know that life can change unexpectedly. King. A season can turn. King. A relationship can change. King. An opportunity can appear. King. A person can walk into your life at the right time. King. A responsibility can reveal a gift you didn't know you had. King. So stay attentive. King. Don't become so focused on one particular picture of your future that you miss what is actually happening around you. King. Sometimes the answer comes in a form you weren't expecting. King. Sometimes restoration doesn't look like getting back what you lost. King. Sometimes it looks like receiving something healthier. King. Sometimes it looks like becoming strong enough to stop needing what once controlled you. King. Sometimes the greatest breakthrough is internal. King. You stop begging someone to recognize your worth. King. You stop chasing people who keep walking away. King. You stop allowing fear to decide what you will attempt. King. You stop believing that every closed door means you have been rejected. King. You begin to understand that your life can move forward without receiving permission from everyone around you. King. That is freedom. King. and freedom can feel unfamiliar at first. If you've spent years living in survival mode, peace can almost feel strange. You may wonder whether you should be preparing for the next problem. You may find yourself waiting for something to go wrong. But you are allowed to experience peace without immediately expecting it to disappear. You are allowed to enjoy a good day. You are allowed to receive kindness. You are allowed to laugh. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to believe that tomorrow can contain something good. That doesn't make you naive. It means you refuse to let fear consume every good thing before it has even arrived. My beloved child, don't spend the rest of your life preparing for disasters that may never happen. Live the day you have. Do what is in front of you. Pray over what you cannot control. And release what belongs in God's hands. There will always be something you cannot control. Other people's choices. Unexpected circumstances. Economic changes. The opinions of strangers. The timing of certain opportunities. The behavior of people you love. You cannot control all of it. But you can control your integrity. You can control your response. You can control whether you continue to grow. You can control whether you forgive. You can control whether you ask for help. You can control whether you keep your word. That is where your power belongs. Put your energy there. And when you think about the future, remember the people who may eventually benefit from the person you are becoming. The person who learns to manage their money wisely may one day be able to help their family. The person who learns to communicate with patience may build a healthier home. The person who heals from betrayal may become a safer friend. The person who learns to forgive may break a cycle that has existed for years. The person who discovers faith again may encourage someone who has lost theirs. Your transformation can reach farther than you realize. That is why this cannot be only about you. Your rise should create room for service. Your strength should create safety for someone weaker. Your experience should create compassion. Your resources should create generosity. Your voice should create encouragement. And your relationship with Jesus should influence how you treat people. That is where spiritual maturity becomes visible. Not in how dramatic your declarations sound, but in what your life produces. If you say you have faith, let your choices show it. If you say you trust God, let your decisions reflect patience. If you say you love people, let your behavior demonstrate that love. If you say you have been forgiven, learn to forgive. If you say you have received mercy, become merciful. That is the kind of transformation that cannot be faked for long. And if there are people who still don't understand you, let them misunderstand you. You don't need to spend every day correcting every opinion. There are times when silence is wiser than another explanation. There are times when walking away is more powerful than arguing. There are times when the healthiest response is simply to continue living well. Your life will eventually reveal what words cannot. So don't exhaust yourself trying to control the narrative. Live truthfully. King. Let time reveal what needs to be revealed. King. And if someone continues to treat you unfairly, you are allowed to protect yourself. King. Forgiveness doesn't require you to surrender your boundaries. King. Love doesn't require you to accept abuse. King. Grace doesn't require you to remain in unhealthy situations. King. Wisdom knows when to step back. King. Pray for wisdom. King. Ask God to show you where you need to stay and where you need to move. King. Ask for discernment before making major decisions. King. Ask for courage when the right decision is difficult. King. Ask for humility when you are wrong. King. And ask for peace when you cannot control the outcome. King. Those prayers can guide you through more than any emotional declaration ever could. King. You may also discover that some of the things you once called delays were actually preparation. King. You wanted the opportunity immediately. King. But perhaps you needed more experience. King. You wanted the relationship immediately. King. But perhaps you needed healing first. King. You wanted financial increase immediately. King. But perhaps you needed to learn stewardship. King. You wanted recognition immediately. King. But perhaps your character needed time to develop. King. That doesn't mean every delay has a hidden explanation. King. Sometimes life is simply difficult. King. But you don't have to waste the waiting. King. Use it. King. Prepare. King. Learn. King. Pray. King. Grow. King. Then, when the door opens, you can step through it with greater confidence. King. That is what preparation does. King. It turns opportunity into responsibility. King. And responsibility requires maturity. King. So don't only ask God for bigger opportunities. King. Ask Him to make you capable of handling them. King. Don't only ask for influence. King. Ask for character. King. Don't only ask for abundance. King. Ask for wisdom. King. Don't only ask for recognition. King. Ask for humility. King. Don't only ask for victory. King. Ask for the ability to remain faithful after the victory arrives. King. Because sometimes receiving what you prayed for creates a different set of challenges. King. More money requires better decisions. King. More influence requires greater responsibility. King. More attention requires stronger boundaries. King. More people depending on you requires greater maturity. King. The blessing still requires stewardship. King. Remember that. King. And when you have more than you need, don't forget people who have less. King. Your generosity can become part of your testimony. Hebrews 13:16 reminds us not to forget doing good and sharing with others, because those acts are pleasing to God. Generosity is not limited to money. Sometimes it is a message shared with someone who feels forgotten. King. Sometimes it is a prayer for a person who is struggling. Sometimes it is practical help, encouragement, or simply making yourself available when someone needs support. King. And if you would like to help this channel continue creating and sharing messages like this, you can find the support link in the description or pinned comment. You may choose to buy a coffee, make a donation, or become a member. King. Whatever you do, let it flow from a sincere desire to do good and help this message reach someone who may need hope today. King. But let it remain sincere. King. If you want to support this channel, there is a support link in the description and pinned comment. You can choose to buy a coffee, make a donation, or become a member of the community if that is something you genuinely want to do and can responsibly afford. That support can help this work continue. But you don't have to give money to prove your faith. Your heart matters. Your willingness matters. Your kindness matters. Your prayers matter. Your time matters. Your encouragement matters. There are many ways to participate in helping people. And when you do give with joy rather than fear. Let generosity be an expression of gratitude. The words of Jesus about giving should lead us toward a generous heart, not toward superstition or pressure. Give, and it will be given to you. Carry that principle with wisdom. Give because you want to bless. Give because you want to serve. Give because you have received and want to share. And remember that generosity doesn't mean ignoring your own responsibilities. Take care of your household. Handle your obligations. Make wise financial choices. Then give from what you can responsibly share. That is healthier than giving because someone frightened you into it. Your relationship with God should be built on trust, not manipulation. And if you have ever felt pressured by religious messages that told you something terrible would happen if you didn't stay, watch, give, like, or subscribe, release that fear. God is not limited by a video. He is not waiting for you to complete a particular online ritual before he can hear your prayer. You can seek him sincerely. You can close the screen and still pray. You can walk away and return later. Your faith is bigger than this moment. Let that give you peace. And if you choose to remain connected to this channel, let it be because you find encouragement here. Like the video if it genuinely helped you. Share it with someone who may need a message of hope. Leave a comment if you want to express what you are carrying or what you are praying about. And subscribe if you want to continue receiving future messages. Those actions can help this channel reach other people, but they should come from a genuine desire to participate, not fear that you will lose a blessing if you don't. Now take a breath. Let everything settle. You have heard a great deal. Don't try to force yourself to feel something extraordinary. Instead, ask yourself what one thing you can carry into tomorrow. Maybe it is forgiveness. Maybe it is courage. Maybe it is patience. Maybe it is generosity. Maybe it is a boundary. Maybe it is simply the decision to stop speaking to yourself with cruelty. Choose one. Then practice it. That is enough. You don't need to change your entire life before you go to sleep tonight. One faithful decision is enough for today. Tomorrow will give you another opportunity. And the day after that will give you another. This is how a life changes. One choice. Then another. Then another. Eventually the choices become habits. The habits become character. And character shapes the direction of your life. So don't underestimate the small things. A kind response can matter. A disciplined decision can matter. A prayer can matter. An apology can matter. A refusal to return to an unhealthy situation can matter. A decision to save instead of spend can matter. A decision to tell the truth can matter. A decision to forgive can matter. A decision to ask for help can matter. A decision to try again can matter. Your life is being shaped in those moments. And my beloved child, you don't have to be afraid of beginning again. You are allowed to rebuild. You are allowed to learn. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to become wiser. You are allowed to leave behind habits that no longer serve you. You are allowed to grow beyond relationships that once defined you. You are allowed to discover new gifts. You are allowed to pursue a different path. And you are allowed to say, I don't know yet. You don't need to have every answer. Sometimes the most honest prayer is, God, I don't know where this is going, but I trust you enough to take the next step. That prayer contains humility. It also contains courage. And if the next step doesn't work out exactly as you expected, you can take another. You are not trapped. Your life can adapt. You can learn. You can change direction. You can begin again. Don't make your future depend on one perfect decision. Make it depend on a willingness to keep seeking wisdom. That will carry you farther. There may be people who want you to remain the person you used to be. They may be uncomfortable with your boundaries. They may be surprised when you stop explaining yourself. They may wonder why you don't respond the way you once did. That's okay. You are not responsible for keeping everyone comfortable with your growth. Be respectful. Be kind. But keep growing. You don't need permission to become healthier. And don't allow growth to make you forget compassion. When you become stronger, remember those who are still struggling. When you become more secure, remember what insecurity felt like. When you become more stable, remember those who are still rebuilding. When you receive support, remember those who are still waiting for someone to notice them. Your own history can keep you grounded. And that is where your rise becomes meaningful. You aren't simply escaping your past. You're learning from it. You're becoming someone who can use what you survived to help others. That is a legacy worth building. Not simply being remembered for how much you achieved, but for how many people felt stronger because you were there. How many people felt heard. How many people found courage. How many people received kindness. How many people were reminded of Jesus. Those questions matter. And if you ever feel tempted to measure your life only by money, status, appearance, or recognition, return to those questions. They will bring you back to what matters. There is nothing wrong with wanting financial stability. There is nothing wrong with wanting a beautiful home, a successful career, healthy relationships, or meaningful recognition. But those things should serve your life rather than become your identity. If you gain them, be grateful. If you are still waiting, don't despise your current life. You can build a meaningful life while you are still waiting for certain things. Don't postpone all joy until the future. Live today too. Enjoy the people who love you. Notice the small blessings. Rest. Laugh. Eat. Walk. Pray. Work. Create. Serve. There is holiness in ordinary life when it is lived with gratitude. You don't need to turn every day into a dramatic spiritual event. Sometimes a quiet day is a gift. Sometimes peace is the miracle. Sometimes nothing goes wrong, and that is worth noticing. Sometimes the greatest answer is simply that you made it through another day. Give thanks for that. And if today has been difficult, give yourself permission to be honest about it. You don't have to force gratitude before you're ready. You can bring your pain to God as it is. Then ask Him for strength to continue. That's enough. Your faith doesn't have to sound impressive. It has to be sincere. And sincerity can be quiet. So let your next season be quieter in some ways. Less proving. Less explaining. Less comparing. Less chasing. More praying. More listening. More learning. More serving. More living. That is where peace begins to grow. The fire inside you doesn't have to burn everything down. Let it illuminate your path. Let it warm people around you. Let it strengthen your resolve. Let it remind you that you have survived difficult things before. But don't confuse intensity with transformation. Real transformation can be calm. It can look like waking up and choosing differently. It can look like saying no. It can look like asking for forgiveness. It can look like making a budget. It can look like opening scripture. It can look like calling someone you love. It can look like getting professional help. It can look like resting instead of pushing yourself beyond your limits. It can look ordinary. And that is okay. God can work through ordinary things. So when you hear a message promising that everything will change in one instant, hold it with wisdom. Hope is good. Faith is good. Expectation can be good. But don't surrender your discernment. Your life deserves more than emotional manipulation. Your faith deserves truth. Your future deserves responsible choices. And your heart deserves peace. That is what I want you to carry from this moment. Not fear. Not pressure. Not the belief that you must stay online every second or something terrible will happen. Carry hope. Carry wisdom. Carry faith. Carry responsibility. Carry love. And carry Jesus with you into your ordinary life. That is where the real transformation happens. My beloved child, the storm may have felt enormous, but you are not required to live inside the storm forever. Eventually the sky clears. Eventually you breathe more easily. Eventually, you look back and realize that you learned how to stand. You may never forget what happened, but you can remember it without being controlled by it. You can remember the people who hurt you without allowing them to determine your character. You can remember the losses without believing that loss is all your future contains. You can remember the nights you cried and still wake up expecting something good. That's healing. That's growth. That's the kind of rise that lasts. And if you feel called to share this message with someone who is struggling, do it gently. You don't know what another person is carrying. You don't need to tell them that their life will magically change overnight. Simply remind them that they are worth caring for, that they can seek God, that they can ask for help, and that their story is not necessarily finished. Sometimes hope is simply a reason to take one more step. Give someone that reason if you can. And if this message has meant something to you, you can leave a simple comment such as Amen, or share what you are praying for. Let your words be honest. You don't need to perform for anyone. You don't need to prove that you're chosen. You don't need to convince the world that your future is guaranteed. Live faithfully. Let your life speak. And if you believe you are a chosen one, let that identity make you more responsible, not more arrogant. If you consider yourself a beloved son, let that identity remind you that you are deeply valued and therefore capable of extending value to others. If you feel drawn to the work of Archangel Michael, approach it with discernment and respect for your own faith tradition. Do not allow spiritual language to replace wisdom. Let your spiritual life make you more grounded, more compassionate, more honest, more courageous, more willing to serve. That's the kind of fire worth carrying. And now, before you move on with your day, pause for a brief prayer. Jesus, guide this person into wisdom. Give them strength where they are weak, peace where they are anxious, courage where they are afraid, and clarity where they are uncertain. Help them release what they cannot control. Help them take responsibility for what they can. Give them compassion without allowing them to lose healthy boundaries. Give them generosity without allowing fear to control their decisions. Give them faith that remains steady when circumstances change. Protect their heart from bitterness. Protect their mind from despair. Help them forgive what can be forgiven and seek wise help where healing is needed. Lead them toward people who are trustworthy, toward opportunities that are healthy, and toward choices that reflect truth. When a door should open, give them courage to walk through it. When a door should remain closed, give them peace to accept it. When they are waiting, teach them patience. When they are moving, teach them wisdom. And when they fall, remind them that falling does not mean the story is over. Help them rise again. Let their life become a source of encouragement to others. Let their generosity be sincere. Let their words bring peace. Let their actions reflect love. Let their faith become visible through the way they live. And above everything else, keep their heart close to you. Amen. My beloved child, take that prayer with you. You don't need to remain in front of this screen forever. Go live what you have heard. Take the next step. Make the next wise decision. Have the next honest conversation. Offer the next act of kindness. Pray the next prayer. And when tomorrow comes, begin again. If this video encouraged you, like it if you genuinely want to support the channel. Share it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribe if you want to remain connected to future messages. If you want to go deeper, the link is available in the description and pinned comment. And for those who want to help this channel continue growing and reaching more people, the support link is also available there. Give only if you can do so freely and responsibly. Your presence, your attention, your prayers, and your encouragement already mean a great deal. You don't have to prove anything. You simply have to keep walking. The storm does not define you. The betrayal does not define you. The rejection does not define you. The delay does not define you. The mistake does not define you. Your past is part of your story, but it is not the whole story. There is still room for grace. There is still room for growth. There is still room for restoration. There is still room for purpose. So carry your faith quietly when you need to. Carry your courage when the road becomes difficult. Carry your compassion when someone else is hurting. Carry your wisdom when temptation tries to rush you. Carry your hope when the future feels uncertain. And keep your eyes on Jesus. The most important shift may not be what happens around you. It may be what happens within you. You are learning to live without being ruled by fear. You are learning to love without abandoning yourself. You are learning to give without being manipulated. You are learning to forgive without surrendering wisdom. You are learning to hope without demanding certainty. You are learning to walk with God one step at a time. That is a powerful beginning. And the next chapter does not need to be loud to be significant. It only needs to be lived faithfully. So go forward in peace. Let the fire become light. Let the pain become wisdom. Let the lessons become compassion. Let your faith become action. Let your life become a testimony of what can happen when you refuse to give up and continue seeking God. My beloved child, your story is still being written. Walk into the next page with faith, wisdom, courage, and peace. And whatever tomorrow brings, remember this: you do not have to become someone else to be worthy of love. You only have to keep becoming the person God created you to be. May your heart remain steady, your steps remain faithful, and your hope remain alive. Amen. And now, as you move forward from this moment, remember that the most important part of any spiritual message is what happens after you hear it. The screen will eventually go dark. The music will stop. The words will fade. But what you choose to do next is still in your hands. Don't allow this moment to become something you felt for a few minutes and then forgot. Take one truth with you. Take one decision with you. Take one prayer with you. Then let that become part of your life. You have spent enough time believing that transformation has to arrive like thunder. Sometimes it arrives as discipline. Sometimes it arrives as forgiveness. Sometimes it arrives as courage. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet decision to stop returning to what wounded you. Sometimes it arrives when you finally say, I am ready to live differently. That decision can be powerful. And perhaps this is the real beginning of your next chapter. Not because every circumstance has changed, but because your response has changed. You no longer have to wait for everyone else to change before you begin. You can begin with yourself. Begin with your thoughts. Begin with your habits. Begin with your relationships. Begin with your prayer life. Begin with the way you speak to yourself. Begin with the way you treat people. Begin with the way you use what God has already placed in your hands. You don't need more permission. You need commitment. Commit to becoming wiser. Commit to becoming kinder. Commit to becoming more disciplined. Commit to becoming more faithful. Commit to becoming more courageous. And when you fail, return to the commitment. Don't throw away the entire journey because of one difficult day. You are learning how to walk. Walking includes stumbling. It includes stopping. It includes changing direction. What matters is that you continue. There will be mornings when you wake up with confidence. There will be mornings when you wake up exhausted. There will be days when prayer feels easy. There will be days when you struggle to find the words. Don't mistake those changes in emotion for the absence of God. Faith is not measured by how intensely you feel every moment. Faith can also look like quiet consistency. A whispered prayer. A decision to forgive. A decision not to retaliate. A decision to keep your word. A decision to do the right thing when nobody will ever know. Those moments may never receive applause. But they are building something inside you. And that inner work matters. You may eventually reach a place where you don't recognize the person you once were. Not because you became perfect. Because you became freer. Freer from the need to prove yourself. Freer from the opinions of people who never understood you. Freer from the fear of starting over. Freer from the belief that your past controls your future. Freer from the pressure to have every answer. That kind of freedom is precious. Protect it. Don't trade it for temporary approval. Don't trade it for a relationship that continually destroys your peace. Don't trade it for attention. Don't trade it for the appearance of success. Your peace is worth protecting. And if someone tries to pull you back into an old version of yourself, remember that you are allowed to say no. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to become more selective about what you allow into your life. You don't owe everyone access to you. But you can remain compassionate without becoming available to every person who demands your attention. That is wisdom. And as you become more secure, let your security make you generous. When someone else succeeds, celebrate them. When someone else struggles, encourage them. When someone else is grieving, don't rush to explain their pain. Sometimes people don't need an explanation. They need presence. They need someone willing to sit beside them. They need someone willing to pray. They need someone willing to say, I am here. You know how valuable those words can be, because there were times when you needed them too. So become that person. Let your rise create room for other people. Let your healing make you gentler. Let your wisdom make you patient. Let your faith make you compassionate. That is a greater victory than simply being admired. And if God places influence in your hands, remember that influence is a responsibility. Don't use it to manipulate people. Don't use fear to keep them connected. Don't promise outcomes that you cannot guarantee. Point people toward hope, toward Scripture, toward prayer, toward Jesus, and toward wise action. Let people make their own decisions freely. Truth does not need coercion. Love does not need manipulation. Faith does not need threats. And generosity does not need pressure. If someone chooses to support this work, let them do so freely. If someone chooses to share a message, let it come from genuine encouragement. If someone chooses to subscribe, let it be because they want to remain connected. And if someone needs to walk away, they can. Their relationship with God continues beyond this screen. That is important. Because the purpose of this message is not to make you dependent on a video. It is to encourage you to become more intentional about your own life and your own relationship with God. So when you finish listening, close your eyes for a moment if you can. Take a slow breath and ask yourself, what do I need to release? What do I need to begin? Who do I need to forgive? What responsibility have I been avoiding? Where do I need wisdom? Where do I need courage? Where do I need help? Then bring those questions into prayer. You don't need to solve everything tonight. One honest answer can be enough. One decision can be enough. One next step can be enough. And if you want to write something in the comments, write, I am ready to walk forward in faith. Let those words be a personal reminder, not a magical formula. You don't need the comments section to change your life. Your choices will. Your prayer will. Your obedience will. Your willingness to keep growing will. And if someone else reads your words and feels encouraged, that is a beautiful extra gift. This is how messages travel. Not through fear. Through hope. Not through pressure. Through genuine connection. Not through promises of instant miracles. Through faithfulness. So share encouragement wisely. If you know someone who is struggling, reach out personally. Ask how they are doing. Listen before you speak. And if they need professional or practical support, encourage them to seek it. Sometimes loving someone means helping them find the right kind of help. That is not a lack of faith. It can be an expression of love. And my beloved child, remember this when your circumstances seem unchanged. A quiet season is not necessarily a wasted season. There may be work happening inside you that cannot yet be seen outside you. Your patience is growing. Your discernment is growing. Your confidence is becoming healthier. Your understanding is deepening. Your priorities are changing. Those things matter. Don't measure every season only by visible results. Some of the most important changes begin where nobody else can see them. Roots grow underground. Foundations are built beneath the surface. Character develops privately. Then, eventually, the fruit becomes visible. Keep tending the roots. Keep praying. Keep learning. Keep serving. Keep choosing what is right. And don't become discouraged because someone else appears to be moving faster. You don't know their journey. You don't know what their life requires. You don't know what is happening behind the scenes. Stay in your lane. Your assignment is not to outrun everyone. It is to faithfully walk your own path. That may mean slower progress sometimes. That's okay. Slow progress can still be strong progress. And if you have been waiting for a major breakthrough, don't stop living while you wait. Love people now. Work now. Learn now. Rest now. Pray now. Give thanks now. Serve now. Don't postpone your entire life until one particular prayer is answered. There is life happening today. Receive it. There is beauty in ordinary moments. Don't miss it because you are staring so intensely at tomorrow. Your future matters. But so does your present. And when tomorrow finally becomes today, you will want to know that you actually lived it. Not that you spent every moment waiting for the next dramatic sign. Live. Trust. Work. Pray. Rest. Repeat. That rhythm can carry you through many seasons. And when you encounter another storm, you will know something you didn't know before. You have survived storms already. You know how to breathe through difficult moments. You know how to ask for help. You know how to pray. You know how to begin again. You know that pain can be survived. You know that rejection does not have to become identity. You know that loss does not have to become the end. You know that God can meet you in places you never expected. Carry that knowledge forward. And if another difficult season comes, don't immediately assume you are being punished. Ask what is needed now. Do you need rest? Do you need wisdom? Do you need to change direction? Do you need to set a boundary? Do you need to apologize? Do you need to ask for help? Do you need to wait? Ask. Then listen. And remember that not every hardship has a simple spiritual explanation. Sometimes life is painful. Sometimes people make harmful choices. Sometimes circumstances are unfair. You don't have to pretend otherwise. Faith can exist alongside honest grief. You can trust God and still cry. You can believe and still ask questions. You can pray and still seek practical solutions. You can hope and still acknowledge reality. That is not weakness. That is maturity. And as you grow, you may find that your definition of breakthrough changes. At first, you may think breakthrough means receiving everything you wanted. Later, you may discover that breakthrough means becoming free from what once controlled you. Maybe breakthrough is peace. Maybe it is wisdom. Maybe it is healing. Maybe it is reconciliation. Maybe it is a healthier relationship with money. Maybe it is learning to love yourself without arrogance. Maybe it is finally understanding that your worth was never dependent on another person's approval. Those breakthroughs can change your entire life. So don't make your hope so narrow that you fail to recognize the answer when it arrives in a different form. Stay open. Stay prayerful. Stay wise. And if something good comes, don't immediately assume it must be perfect simply because you prayed for it. Test it. Observe it. Ask whether it produces healthy fruit. A blessing should not require you to abandon your integrity. An opportunity should not require you to destroy your peace. A relationship should not require you to become someone you are not. A financial opportunity should not require you to ignore wisdom. A spiritual teaching should not require you to abandon discernment. Keep your foundation. That will protect you. And if you choose to become part of this community more deeply, do it because you genuinely want continued encouragement. The information about membership and support is available through the pinned comment. You can explore it when you are ready. There is no need to rush. Your decision should be thoughtful. Your giving should be responsible. Your participation should be willing. And whether you ever contribute financially or not, your life still has value. Never forget that. Your worth is not measured by your donation. Your faith is not measured by your purchase. Your relationship with God is not determined by whether you become a member. You are valuable before you give anything. You are valuable while you are still struggling. You are valuable while you are still learning. You are valuable while you are still waiting. That truth is important. And perhaps that is the message you needed most. You don't have to earn the right to matter. You matter. Now let that truth change how you move. Not with arrogance. With peace. You can stop begging people to see what God already sees. You can stop chasing every person who walks away. You can stop forcing doors. You can stop treating every delay like a disaster. You can stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. You can stop believing that your story is over simply because one chapter ended. You can breathe. You can begin again. And you can trust that the next step will become clearer as you walk. My beloved child, this is your invitation to live differently. Not perfectly. Differently. With more wisdom. More faith. More courage. More love. More patience. More responsibility. More peace. And when you fall short, return. Return to prayer. Return to truth. Return to humility. Return to Jesus. Return to the people who love you. Return to the values you know are right. Then continue. There is no shame in beginning again. There is no shame in needing help. There is no shame in saying, I don't know. There is no shame in changing direction. There is no shame in taking your time. There is no shame in choosing peace. Your life does not have to look dramatic to be meaningful. A quiet life filled with love, integrity, faith, and service can be extraordinarily powerful. So let that be your goal. Not merely to be seen, but to be useful. Not merely to be admired, but to be trustworthy. Not merely to receive, but to give. Not merely to rise, but to help others rise. Not merely to speak about Jesus, but to reflect His love in the way you live. That is a life worth building. And when you look back years from now, perhaps you will not remember every emotional moment, but you will remember the decisions. The day you chose to forgive. The day you chose to leave. The day you chose to begin. The day you chose to trust again. The day you chose to serve. The day you chose to stop hiding. Those decisions will become part of your testimony. So make them carefully. Make them prayerfully. Make them with courage. And keep moving. The future is not asking you to become perfect. It is asking you to become faithful. Take the next step. Then the next. And when the road becomes difficult, remember that you have already traveled roads you once thought you could never survive. You are still here. That means something. So lift your head. Take a breath. And walk forward. Not because everything is guaranteed. Not because every desire will automatically become reality. Not because you know exactly what tomorrow will bring. Walk forward because you have learned that fear does not deserve to control your life. Walk forward because faith gives you courage to face uncertainty. Walk forward because Jesus remains worthy of your trust. Walk forward because your life still has purpose. And walk forward because someone may one day need the wisdom you are learning today. Your story can become a light. Not because it is perfect. Because it is honest. Because you kept going. Because you learned. Because you grew. Because you chose hope. That is enough. Now go into your next day with peace. Take care of what is in your hands. Love the people who are near you. Pray for the people who are far away. Forgive what you can. Set boundaries where necessary. Work faithfully. Rest when you need to. Give responsibly. Serve generously. And keep your heart close to God. The chapter continues. And so do you. Amen. The invitation is simple now. Move forward with intention. You don't have to prove that this moment was real by forcing something to happen overnight. Let the message become meaningful through the way you live after it ends. Carry the encouragement into your decisions. Carry the hope into the places where you have been discouraged. Carry the courage into the areas where you have been afraid to move. You have already endured seasons that tested you. You have carried disappointment, rejection, betrayal, and uncertainty. Those experiences may have changed you, but they do not have to control the person you become next. There is still room for restoration. There is still room for growth. There is still room for a new beginning. And as you step into that beginning, remember that being a chosen one should never become an excuse to think you are better than anyone else. If you believe you have been called, then let that calling produce humility. Let it make you willing to serve. Let it make you more compassionate toward people who are still struggling. Your rise should not require someone else's downfall. You don't need your enemies to suffer before you can experience peace. You don't need the people who rejected you to regret their decision before you can recognize your own worth. Let God deal with what belongs to God. Your responsibility is to walk faithfully with what has been placed in your hands. And if this message has encouraged you, share it with someone who may need a word of hope today. A person who feels forgotten may need encouragement. Someone carrying disappointment may need to hear that their life is not finished. Someone who has been afraid to begin again may simply need a reminder that another step is possible. That is a better reason to share than fear. Let the message travel because it may encourage someone, not because you are afraid that something will be taken from you if you don't. And if you want to remain connected with this channel, you can subscribe. Stay because you genuinely want more messages centered on faith, hope, prayer, and encouragement. Your attention matters, but your freedom matters too. You can close this video and still pray. You can step away from the screen and still seek Jesus. You can return another day. God is not limited to a video, a comment, a like, or a subscription. Let your faith continue beyond the screen. And when you pray, don't feel pressured to use impressive words. Speak honestly. Tell Jesus what hurts. Tell him what you are afraid of. Tell him what you hope for. Tell him where you feel lost. Tell him what you need help understanding. Then become quiet. Listen. Sometimes the answer begins with a change in your own perspective. Sometimes it begins with courage to take a practical step. Sometimes it begins with realizing that the thing you have been desperately trying to recover is not actually what you need anymore. You may have thought restoration meant getting the old life back. But perhaps restoration means building a healthier life than the one you had before. Perhaps it means stronger boundaries, healthier relationships, better stewardship, greater wisdom, a deeper relationship with God, a more peaceful mind, a clearer sense of purpose. Don't limit what restoration can mean. You have spent enough time measuring your future against your past. Let the future be different. The people who ignored you may eventually notice your growth. The people who doubted you may eventually wonder what changed. But when that happens, don't make their reaction your reward. Your reward is becoming free. Your reward is being able to wake up without needing anyone's approval. Your reward is being able to look at your life and say, I am finally living with greater wisdom than I had before. That is a victory worth protecting. And if you receive new opportunities, don't rush simply because you are excited. Pray first. Think carefully. Look at the consequences. Ask whether the opportunity is healthy. Ask whether it aligns with your values. Ask whether it will require you to compromise your integrity. Not every open door is meant for you. Not every person who returns to your life belongs in your future. Not every promise deserves your trust. Discernment matters. Faith does not mean abandoning wisdom. You can believe in God's goodness while still making careful decisions. You can hope while still planning. You can pray while still working. You can trust while still asking questions. That balance will protect you. And if you are waiting for a breakthrough, don't stop preparing while you wait. Develop the skill. Save the money. Have the conversation. Read the scripture. Build the habit. Repair what you can. Ask for help where you need it. Become ready for the opportunity you are asking for. Because when the door opens, you want to have the character and wisdom required to walk through it. A blessing is still a responsibility. More resources require stewardship. More influence requires maturity. More attention requires boundaries. More responsibility requires discipline. So don't only ask God for more. Ask Him to make you capable of carrying more. And if you have something to give, give responsibly. The source script invites viewers to support this work through buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of the community, with the intention of helping reach people who need encouragement and spiritual support. If you choose to give, let it come from a willing heart. Don't give because you are frightened into believing that money will force a miracle. Give because you want to participate. Give because generosity matters to you. Give because you want to help someone else receive encouragement. And if you don't have money to give, that does not make your faith less valuable. God does not ask you to give what you do not have. 2 Corinthians 8:12 teaches that what matters is the willingness of the heart and giving according to what a person has. So don't compare your contribution with someone else's. If you have the ability to support this work, you can visit the link in the description or pinned comment and choose whatever form of support is appropriate for you. Whether that means a small donation, buying a coffee, or becoming a member. And if you cannot give financially right now, your prayer, encouragement, kindness, and willingness to share hope still have value. Give from what you have, not from pressure, and let your generosity remain honest and peaceful. You can pray. You can encourage someone. You can listen. You can serve. You can share a message. You can offer your time. There are many ways to help another person. The heart behind the action matters. Jesus taught about generosity, and Scripture speaks about giving. Let those teachings move you toward a generous life rather than toward fear or pressure. Your relationship with God is not a transaction. You don't purchase grace. You don't buy your way into God's favor. If you believe that your faith is bigger than fear, pressure, or circumstances, type Amen in the comments. Let it be a reminder that you are choosing a relationship with God built on trust, sincerity, and love, not fear. And as you write it, remember that you don't have to earn your worth. You can simply receive grace and keep walking forward. You respond to grace with gratitude. That's the foundation worth keeping. And if you are someone who has felt overlooked, remember that your value doesn't begin when other people finally recognize it. You had value before they noticed. You had value while they ignored you. You had value while you were struggling. You had value before the breakthrough. Don't give other people authority over something God never asked them to control. Your identity belongs deeper than their opinions. So stop spending your energy trying to convince everyone. Live honestly. Let your actions speak. Let your character become evidence of the change taking place inside you. When you are wrong, admit it. When you hurt someone, make amends where appropriate. When someone hurts you, pursue healing without allowing bitterness to become your identity. When you need help, ask. When you need rest, rest. When you need direction, pray. When you need courage, take the next step, even if your emotions haven't caught up yet. That's what real growth looks like. It isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it is quiet. Sometimes nobody notices. Sometimes the biggest victory is simply refusing to return to what once destroyed your peace. And that matters. Your old habits may call you back because they are familiar. Your old relationships may call you back because they are familiar. Your old way of thinking may call you back because it is familiar. But familiar does not always mean healthy. You are allowed to build something different. You are allowed to become someone different. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to start again. You are allowed to grow beyond the expectations people placed on you. And you don't need to become cold in order to become strong. Keep your heart soft. Keep your boundaries firm. Those two things can exist together. You can forgive without giving someone unlimited access to you. You can love someone while recognizing that distance is necessary. You can pray for someone without returning to the situation that harmed you. That is wisdom. And when you become stronger, remember those who are still struggling. Don't use your healing to shame someone else's pain. Don't use your success to make another person feel small. Don't use your influence to control people. If you have been given a voice, use it to encourage. If you have been given resources, use them responsibly. If you have been given influence, use it with humility. If you have been given a story, tell it honestly. Someone may need to hear that you struggled too. Someone may need to know that you didn't have all the answers. Someone may need to hear that faith did not make every problem disappear instantly, but it gave you strength to keep going. That kind of testimony is powerful because it is honest. And honesty creates room for real hope. So don't promise people what you cannot guarantee. Don't tell someone that one video will automatically change their finances. Don't tell them that one donation will force heaven to respond. Don't tell them that missing a video will cause them to lose a blessing. Those ideas create fear instead of faith. Point people toward Jesus. Point them toward Scripture. Point them toward prayer. Point them toward wise action. Point them toward healthy community. And when a person needs practical or professional support, encourage them to seek it. God can work through ordinary people and ordinary means. Sometimes an answer arrives through a conversation. Sometimes through education. Sometimes through counseling. Sometimes through medical care. Sometimes through a friend. Sometimes through a job opportunity. Sometimes through learning how to manage what you already have. Don't become so focused on supernatural language that you overlook the practical steps in front of you. Faith can make you more responsible, not less. And as you continue walking, don't become obsessed with the idea that every moment has to feel supernatural. Some days will feel ordinary. That's okay. God can meet you in ordinary life. He can meet you while you work, while you cook, while you care for your family, while you drive, while you rest, while you read, while you sit quietly after a difficult day. You don't have to remain emotionally overwhelmed to remain spiritually connected. Sometimes peace is quieter than excitement. Learn to recognize it. And when the excitement fades after this message, don't assume that something went wrong. The real question is what remains. Do you still want to pray? Do you still want to grow? Do you still want to forgive? Do you still want to live with integrity? Do you still want to serve? Do you still want to keep your eyes on Jesus? If the answer is yes, then take that with you. The message has done what it needed to do. Now let your life continue the work. My beloved child, you don't need to know everything that is coming. You don't need to know every person you will meet. You don't need to know every door that will open. You don't need to know exactly how every prayer will be answered. You need enough courage for the next step. That's all. Take the next step. Then another. And when you reach a place where you don't know what to do, pause. Pray. Seek wisdom. Then move when you are ready. Your life does not have to be rushed. You are not competing with another person's timeline. Their success does not cancel yours. Their opportunity does not steal yours. Their progress does not mean you are failing. Stay focused on what God has placed in front of you. There will be days when your progress feels invisible. Keep going. There will be days when you make mistakes. Learn. There will be days when you feel discouraged. Rest and return. There will be days when you feel strong. Use that strength wisely. There will be days when someone needs you. Be present. This is how a meaningful life is built. One faithful decision after another. And if you are ready to make that decision today, let your comments simply say, Amen. Not because typing a word magically changes your future, but because it can serve as your own declaration of faith and willingness to move forward. Let it remind you tomorrow of what you decided today. Then live accordingly. You don't have to announce your transformation to everyone. Let it show through your life. Let people notice that you are calmer, that you are more patient, that you are more disciplined, that you no longer chase every person who walks away, that you can hear criticism without falling apart, that you can receive success without becoming arrogant, that you can experience disappointment without losing all hope. That is the evidence of maturity. And perhaps the greatest thing you will gain in this next season will not be the thing you originally asked for. Perhaps it will be the person you become while pursuing it. A person who knows how to wait. A person who knows how to give. A person who knows how to forgive. A person who knows how to set boundaries. A person who knows how to serve. A person who knows how to pray. A person who knows how to keep walking when the answer hasn't arrived yet. That person can carry much more than someone who only knows how to receive. So become that person. Build slowly. Build wisely. Build with faith. Build with humility. Build with love. And when the next opportunity comes, meet it prepared. When the next challenge comes, meet it with courage. When the next blessing comes, meet it with gratitude. When the next disappointment comes, meet it without surrendering your hope. That is the kind of life you are being invited to build. And remember, your past may explain some of your wounds, but it does not have to write the final sentence. The betrayal happened. The rejection happened. The disappointment happened. The waiting happened. But the story continues. You are still here. And because you are still here, there are still choices available to you. Choose wisely. Choose faith. Choose truth. Choose love. Choose responsibility. Choose Jesus. And keep moving forward. The fire you carry does not have to be destructive. Let it become light. Let it guide your steps. Let it warm someone who feels alone. Let it remind you that even after difficult seasons, you can begin again. Your next chapter doesn't need to look like your last one. Write it differently. Live it differently. Walk into it with humility. Walk into it with courage. And walk into it with peace. My beloved child, take what is useful from this message and leave behind anything that feeds fear, pressure, or confusion. Your relationship with God is bigger than this video. Your future is bigger than this moment. Your purpose is bigger than the opinions of people who misunderstood you. And your life is bigger than the pain you survived. Keep going. Keep praying. Keep learning. Keep serving. Keep your heart open. Keep your eyes on Jesus. And when you don't know what comes next, remember that you don't have to see the entire road to take the next faithful step. Take that step. Then take another. Before we close, I want you to make one simple declaration in the comments. I will keep walking. Not because you know exactly what tomorrow will bring, but because you have decided that uncertainty will not stop you. Let those words remind you that when the road becomes difficult, you will pray, you will learn, you will rise, and you will take the next faithful step. Your story is still being written, so don't stop at the chapter that hurt you. And let tomorrow reveal what tomorrow holds. Amen.